So let me know, guys, if you can get me with the right volume, especially those of you, my friends who are following me on Facebook. Kindly text if the volume is okay. Basiavonga, is the volume okay? Bamiri beauty, bamiri mulishani bani. Mfule mwasa nshakoti ma beauty products. Okay, guys on TikTok, can you get me? Very good. Lulu Chomba, thank you. Bamiri ka volume kalifye bwino? Can you confirm? Perfect. Okay, so Mupeta Boniface, is that a signal that the volume is okay? Perfect. Now, ordinarily, I would have loved that we waited a little bit for others to follow this conversation, but we can always share the conversation for those you think may want to, or you'd want them to follow this particular conversation. But because of time, and I do note that tonight there is football, and so I don't want to waste so much of your time. I just wanted today to give a few reflections to the speech that was delivered by the president vis-a-vis the state of affairs of the nation. And look, let me start by stating here that I do not own the monopoly of wisdom myself. After all, like many of you joke about me, I don't even have a degree. Now, that's jokes aside. Now, it doesn't mean that when I come here to make reflections, then my viewpoints are correct, okay? Or I am the one who holds the correct view. I am merely giving my own reflection as a leader. I think that it is a responsibility, it is my responsibility as a leader to be able to delve into some of the salient issues that may have come out of the president's address this morning. Now, let me start by stating that it is the duty of the president to frequently address the citizenry. Because from the president's address, we are obviously given hope of a better tomorrow, okay? You are aware that we are living in a time when a lot of people have lost their hope. There's so much despair because of the many challenges that our people are confronted with today. Because if you take stock of the challenges, we are not only talking about issues of commodity prices, which are beyond, the affordability of our people. We are talking of so many things or so many challenges vis-a-vis the issue of electricity, the issue of fuel. Not only is the price of fuel, beyond the reach of our people, or rather beyond the access of our people, but also the commodity is not available. But we are also talking about other things. Recently, there's a spate of violent activities that have been reported, and there are a lot of casualties who have been caught up in that spate of violence. So these, but many issues, we expect the president to address them every time he speaks to us through such an address. Now, remember, when the president addresses the nation, chances are that people will pick issues that relates to them, okay? Those who are afflicted by the issue of electricity will pick the issue of electricity. Those who have been caught up in the web of violence will pick the issue of violence and would want to listen to the president's position in regards to violence. So each one would pick their interest in the issues they are interested in. And so every time we begin to dissect the presidential speech, we are often inclined to speak to issues that touches us most. Now, the problem we have with this particular address of the president is that there are so many issues by President Bachilandapo, ama issues ayengi, ranging from mining issues to agriculture to energy and many other issues. Some of those issues could have formed our conversation this evening. But the trouble we have is that the other issues that the president spoke about have spoiled the mood and the atmosphere of the conversations that will follow after that presidential address. Ordinarily, we should have been discussing the progressive issues that he touched on. But we are often, as human beings, inclined to now focus on those issues that have left a very sour taste in our mouth. Okay? And so you don't blame the citizen if they focus on the negatives. Okay? Which I think in the near future, the president must avoid. When you prepare your speech, which is why it is always advisable whenever the president is delivering his speech, and I've said this before, that the handlers of the president must always ensure that the president does not veer off his prepared speech. Because it is often when he veer off his prepared speech that he gets to spoil whatever it is that he could have prepared. All right? And so tonight, and I'm going to be very categorical here, there's so many issues that we are supposed to dissect, but because of the lack of time, which I don't have tonight, I will delve on the issue that I think have not settled well with many Zambians. Okay? And so permit me to start with the issue of the Constitution, because I believe that the elephant in the room is the issue of the Constitution. Now, those of you who follows my submissions in Parliament and outside Parliament, there was a time when we were discussing the need for us to reintroduce the Ministry of Religious Affairs. A number of you joked about that issue. A number of you, did not want to agree with us, with my friend JJ, when we proposed to government through a private member motion that the government must introduce the Ministry of, Religious Affairs. And it has come to pass that what we had intimated on is what is obtaining on the ground now. There seems to be a very big gap or a serious vacuum between government and the church. And the danger now is that because of this vacuum, the church and government is looking, or seemingly is now pulling and pushing each other. Now you must understand this. The church has a moral obligation to hold government accountable, whereas the church has a responsibility to take care of the needs of the soul. Because when the church preaches to us, that is food for our soul. Government, on the other hand, has a duty to take care of the needs of our flesh. Our needs means we need to eat, we need to clothe up, we need to have shelter. All these things are but the responsibility of government. Now there's a very thin line in the boundary, because whereas the church takes care of the needs of the soul, preaching the gospel to nourish our soul, our spirit, as many would say, the church has been crossing the boundaries. They also go into addressing some of the issues that otherwise should be attended to by government. As an example, there are so many churches, the SDA, the Catholic, the Pentecostal churches, the UCZ, which churches have been doing what government otherwise should be doing. There are churches that owns hospitals and clinics. There are churches that owns schools, runs schools, orphanages, and the like. Remember, health, education, health care, social care is a responsibility of a government. But you find that the church goes beyond its normal calling of providing the nourishment of our spirit, but it also goes to complement the health effort of government by meeting these needs. Which is why you cannot at any time say government cannot do politics. By the way, we are all political beings. We are all born politicians because everything we do in our lives is politics. The food you eat is politics. Your clothing is politics. Transport and everything else. Even this we are doing now is politics. Our communication is all politics. So there cannot be anybody who should say if we or the church must not get involved in politics. The church must fully participate in politics because the line they toe, that of providing the nourishment of our spirit, often is complemented by them acting, like Paul says in the Bible. Faith without actions is dead, meaning that the church cannot continue to preach about the gospel when the followers are hungry or are sick, meaning that the church must go beyond just preaching. They must complement government, which is why it is very tricky to suggest that the church cannot get involved in political issues. And the church throughout history have always participated in politics. The Catholic Church, as an example, has always been an ardent participant in political discourse of the country. Those of you who are of age would remember that the Catholics have fought with the UNIP government, the Catholic fought with the MMD government, the Catholic fought and differed with the PF government. The Catholic today is still differing. And it's not just the Catholic. Even the other churches have equally done the same. Now, when we talk about the Constitution, now the Constitution is a very sacred document, very contrary to these laws that we sit on a daily basis to amend in Parliament. Okay, because today we can go to Parliament, amend the law as we please. For example, the UPND brought in the draconian cyber law. They amended that law with so much ease. Despite the outcry of the general public, they still went ahead and amended the cyber laws. Now, the Constitution is different because you can't just wake up and say, Twala chinja Constitution. Now, in the 1964 Constitution, actually, the Constitution was locked up. You could not amend the Constitution unless you went into a referendum. But I think, later in the years around 1968, if my memory is very correct, we decided to, free the Constitution and only locked up Part 3 of the Constitution, which is the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights, okay, cannot be tampered with. We have to go to the a referendum. Remember, in the 1964, the entire document could not be amended until we went to the people through a referendum. But later on, it was realized that we free the document, we allow it to be, changed at least by a 2/3 majority, and we only locked up the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights even now cannot be touched. All right? You need to go to the people, and the people have got to vote. So, the changing or the amending of the Constitution is not a simple undertaking. The law dictates that when you want to amend the Constitution, the people must agree or approve. You must get consensus from the people. When you don't get the consensus from the people, the result is that the people are going to, rise up. This is not the first time the people are rising up to demand that the government must halt the constitution-making process. The Bill 10 of the PF is an example we can give. It was the Catholic, the Oasis Forum, the evangelical churches of Zambia that stood up the loudest to castigate the PF for trying to amend the Constitution. And history will tell you that did not, or the PF did not manage to amend the Constitution using Bill, or rather through Bill 10. So you can see the Oasis Forum were as vocal under the PF as they are vocal today. The Catholic Church was as vocal as they were in the PF when the PF wanted to amend the constitution using Bill 10, as they are vocal today. The Law Association of Zambia was as vocal yesterday as they are vocal today. So it is not correct to make assumptions that the church is being unfair to this government today. It is not correct to assume or make assumption that the Law Association of Zambia, the Women Lobby, or the NGOCC, and many others are being unfair to the UPND today. When we, if we flip the pages, would see that they held the same position when PF wanted to change the constitution using Bill 10. It is important today because for the first time, the UPND are now being or are receiving serious scrutiny. Remember, the UPND have been in the forefront in the previous years, castigating Abanabo, and oftentimes with a lot of propaganda. Okay? Today, the UPND are receiving serious scrutiny over their decisions and indecisions. All right? So, there are many issues in the current Bill 7 that are being held as a reason why, or are being advanced as a reason why this exercise must be halted. Starting with the process itself. It is the process that was taken to the Constitutional Court by Munia Zulu. By the way, colleagues, look at the patriotism of a guy like Munia Zulu. Despite being incarcerated, he still managed to take government to court to challenge its government's attempt to rape our constitution. I think if there are many heroes, or if there are heroes we must eulogize today, it's people like Munia Zulu as well as Celestine Mukandila. Those patriots must be celebrated today, because they are the reason why UPND had to temporarily withdraw, or rather defer Bill 7 as we speak. This constitution would have already been amended, save for the bravery of Munia Zulu, who is behind bars. Imagine umuntu ali mujele, but is still holding government to account. But if forever free, we are still walking about like zombies, allowing this constitution to be manipulated by a very little clique of people. So let me briefly speak to some of the contentious issues which are agitating the people. It would interest you, the citizen, to look at the list of people. I don't know the list that is going to be produced by the technical team, which is not so technical, because, by the way, that team that has been constituted by the president should have been technical. It should have been people who understand constitutional matters. I shudder to think how many of those in that team have a technical understanding of the constitution making process. But anyway, that is not the subject of my discussion today. I'm basically saying the president went ahead and constituted a technical committee. Okay? Now, the work of the technical committee was obviously to go around, get submissions, and what. Now, you cannot go in one breath. You cannot insist that we are starting the process over and, from a fresh page, when Bill 7 still sits in Parliament and has not been withdrawn. Perhaps you want to understand where is the agitation coming from. It's the insincerity from the UPND. The UPND are not sincere because when they were expected to completely withdraw Bill 7 from Parliament, that bill is still sitting in Parliament and has not been withdrawn. It has simply been deferred. The same way they duped the Zambian people on the cyber laws. They temporarily withdrew the cyber laws and it went through without much ado. So the agitation from the cross-section of society is that these are taking for a ride. Just like the president today is calling on the WASIS forum to come and dialogue with him. How can the president be saying, come with dialogue, in one breath, but in another breath goes on through the presser he had today to lament that there's nothing wrong in him amending the constitution because the previous governments have always amended the constitution. So what is that dialogue? Because from the submissions of the president today, it is very clear this is a man who is not moved and is not going to be moved. Is resolved about proceeding with the amendment of the constitution because according to him, the previous governments have always amended the constitution. He forgets. The president has got a very small memory. He forgets that him, together with the Catholic Church, by the way, I'm Catholic myself, together with the Oasis Forum and many other organizations, objected the attempt to amend the constitution by the PF government who wanted to amend the constitution through Bill 10. All right? Interestingly, the same president who is castigating the Oasis Forum as to why they want to demonstrate sent his cadres to demonstrate against Bill 10, and nobody touched those cadres. I think all of you have seen the videos on the social platforms of the UPND when they demonstrated against Bill 7, or rather Bill 10. Who stopped them? Nobody. The president, I've seen a video today, thanks to VA. The president was thanking the church, the bishops, and the entire Catholic Church. The president was thanking the Oasis Forum and many other organizations for having fought Bill 10. Today, the president is holding the Catholic Church and the Oasis Forum as though they are, or they hate him, as he puts it in his own words. That is hated. That is why people want to go and protest the constitution. Let's now speak to these words that the president has been using today in his presser. The people that are close to the president must remind the president. The principles of democracy includes the rights of citizens to hold opinions or to hold dissenting views. The principles of democracy holds, or rather entails, the rights of citizens to protest. They call it the right to a peaceful protest. As it happened before in the previous governments, yes, it did. Even when the PF were trying to amend the constitution using Bill 10, the UPND exercised their right to hold a peaceful demonstration and nobody touched them. Interestingly, today, the president is seemingly suggesting that protesting is a street fight, as he called it. Those who are proposing to go and have a peaceful demonstration, the president is calling it a street fight. Where is demonstrating a fight? Because the UPND themselves, with a very short memory that now I believe they do have, did have an opportunity and they were allowed to do so when PF wanted to enact the constitution or to amend the constitution through Bill 10. Where is the problem today, Mr. President? I think these are questions that we must be asking the president. If you, the president, did demonstrate against Bill 10, where is the problem for the other citizen to go and demonstrate? If the Catholic Church, if the Oasis Forum did object Bill 10, where is the problem with the Catholic Church today, with the Oasis Forum today, wanting or rather objecting Bill 7? Where is the problem? I think that we as citizens must hold the president to account over these statements that he's making, because I call it a pity party. The president has gone on a pity party. Now, let's remind ourselves. The president today says some people or people hates him to Adiba Pataba president because of where he comes from. Now, I want to be very careful as I speak to you tonight, because the fashion Yaba president Nangba UPND is such that then when they speak about hatred, about tribe, it is not hate speech. It is not tribalism. But should you echo the same sentiments, they are going to hold you as practicing tribalism or hate speech. As the case in point is, the president would tell people, defend yourselves against criminals. And he was very categorical. If the PF comes with pangas, pick pangas and defend yourselves. But President Bamobeni, in fact, President Bamobeni, at a rally, he would tell his followers, if they attack you, defend yourselves with equal full force and even attack them 10 times. But President Bamobene balaba if you baleba abantu abo if tulande kofie chalaba ni seditious practice. So I am even saying, should we now recite what the president has said today about people hating him? Mwala umfokwe bati ba Binwell is practicing tribalism. I want to say this to you, fellow citizens, today. A time has come for us to have a very honest conversation about tribalism. Because now, unfortunately, we have a president that is going about claiming is being tribally excluded or treated, based on tribe. The words of the president today are very dangerous, no matter how you look at it. Because what the president has suggested today is that there are some people or the citizens of this country who don't come from where he come from, hates him because he was born in that area. He was born with that tribe or from that tribe. That is what the president is suggesting today. That some people or the people of Zambia hates the president because he comes from Wengwa and he is Tonga. Interestingly, what the president has forgotten to mention today is that from 1991, when MMD beat UNIP by 80% of votes, the second person to have beaten opponents by a bigger margin is President HH. Now, I don't think that President HH remembers that the people where he comes from, the population is not enough to give him 2.9 million votes. It therefore means that President HH was voted for by the very people that he is suggesting hates him. Imagine how those who voted for President HH, who don't come from where he comes from, feels today, having voted for him. Today he is telling them that they hate him. How can we have a president that suggests that the citizens who voted for him hates him? Because the mere fact that he has been voted means the whole country voted for him. How can we then have a president who suggests that the citizens hates him? Now, interestingly, colleagues, fellow citizens, I want you to carefully study this subject. The president suggests that he is the most hated president. He was hated in opposition, he is hated while he is still president because of what happened in Chingola and the planned protest by the WASIS Forum. The president wants to say he is hated now as he was hated in the opposition. I want to put it to you, fellow citizens. If there are presidents who were treated very badly in this country, it's President Lungu and President Mwanawasa. I think your memories must be very fresh of how much we abused President Mwanawasa. How many names did we call by Mwanawasa? Didn't we call by Mwanawasa cabbage? Didn't Mwanawasa, the late President Sata, didn't he refer to Mwanawasa? Didn't he tell him Mwanawasa alisha brain patamaki? Imagine that. But what did Mwanawasa do? President Mwanawasa embraced Michael Sata even when he was ailing. He provided medical help to that same person who said his brain had remained patamac. Now that's called leadership. How many names did you call President Lungu? Imwebena Zambia, you called President Lungu Chakolwa, Jameson. Uyuwine PS Mukwete Fumba even sang a song where he was saying Koswe Mumpoto, meaning Edgar Lungu Koswe Mumpoto. Are you not the same citizens that used to accuse President Lungu of all manner of evil? Bana kashibanga mwa pede kuli ba Lungu ama girlfriends mwebe na Zambia. How much of corruption allegations did you throw at President Lungu? Yet none was able to pinpoint at the said corruption. Even when he was voluntarily or innocently handing over power, are you not the same citizens that went and booed him in a stadium full of cadres? So today, the president cannot claim that he is the most hated, because we have seen presidents that have been treated very worse than him. Today, how can you even say anything bad could be president by HH today? We have so many examples of people that are rotting in jail for simply holding a dissenting view against the president. How can he claim that he is the most hated? How can he suggest today that because the Oasis Forum wants to have a demonstration against the Constitution amendment process, then they hate him, when he not long ago was praising the Oasis Forum, was praising the Catholic Church for rejecting Bill 10. And if we compare Bill 10 and Bill 7, what is the difference? Same difference. Same clauses that were rejected by the UPND are the same clauses that are in Bill 7, if not worse. Now, colleagues, let us therefore understand why it is so important for the UPND to want to amend this constitution. Because, look, we know from the claims of the UPND that Venanimpaka 2090, Bale Winanam 2026. If the UPND have delivered, as they are claiming through Jito and others, that they have delivered and they are going to be voted, why are they in a hurry to amend the constitution? Why can't they amend the constitution after August 2026? Because the same constitution we have today is the same constitution that was used when the UPND won the elections. Where is the problem now? Why can't we use the same constitution that was used to usher in the UPND? Why can't we use the same constitution and then let them amend it after 2026? Why can't the president wait? Why can't the UPND wait? Because clearly you cannot amend the constitution when critical stakeholders are saying wait. What is the rush? I will tell you why the UPND are rushing this thing. The UPND are rushing the amendment of the constitution because it's their lifeline. They know they've lost popularity. That is why they want to create more constituencies, and they are creating those constituencies not in other areas but in their strongholds. That is why they've never at any particular time suggested where those 55 constituencies are going to be created. They've not suggested. They've concealed that information because they know when they lose elsewhere, they are going to create more constituencies in their strongholds. And you know the strongholds. It's the southern province, the western province, and the northwestern province. Otherwise, they would have publicly stated which constituencies they are proposing for delimitation. What is so evil in this constitution, the proposed constitution, is we have a country that is on life support. This economy is on ICU, in ICU as we speak today. But you have a government that wants to create 92 members of parliament on top of the 156. Listen to me, fellow citizens. This country is in ICU. Right now, as we speak, we are struggling to meet the social needs. Na ku parliament yoko tuaba, MPs are struggling to get paid their allowances for the first time in the history of this country. It's bad everywhere. And therefore, a responsible government would have harnessed the little resources we have today to take care of the needs of the people. But your government wants to rush to amend the constitution to create 92 new MPs. Who told you that delimitation always involves creating new constituencies? Let me clear this. Delimitation does not mean create new constituencies. Delimitation simply means realign the electoral boundaries. It is not true to suggest that you can only allocate more resources into areas when you delimitate. You can't suggest that. It is foolish to suggest that the only way you can allocate more resources to the people is only through delimitation. You can still allocate more resources to communities the same way they've been increasing CDF. You can increase more money into CDF even if you have not created new constituencies. You can create or realign boundaries so that those smaller constituencies are extended to cover part of the bigger constituencies without necessarily creating new MPs, because an MP is expensive to maintain. But here the UPND, despite this economy in being in ICU, they want to create 92 new constituencies. Or rather, new MPs. If you didn't know, they want to create 55 new constituencies. They want to create 20 MPs abakababa na mayo, 12 MPs abakababa youth, and 3 will be disabled, and 2 more nominations. 92 more MPs. Create. Let me repeat what I have said. It is not correct to insinuate that you can only allocate more resources to constituencies, or rather to communities, if you do a delimitation of constituents or you create more constituencies. It is not correct. You can still allocate more resources, just like the UPND have increased the CDF from 1.6 to 40 million without any delimitation process. But guess what they want to do? By UPND through President Hakainde Hichilema, they want to hold on to power through hook or crook. Realizing that the ground is not okay, they want to create more constituencies in places where they know kuria bala pepeka abantu nga bavota bala kwata 99%, because they know they chase people when the day of voting comes. But some polling monitors bala batamfya baba pepeka. So they know if we create more constituencies in our stronghold, we can go and intimidate people, and all those constituencies are going to be ours. That is what the UPND wants to do. Now, the other thing you are not aware that is being proposed as an amendment is to disenfranchise citizens. Bariabonsaba for yoku minina as ba MP pa independent as I am now. When PF rejected me, I had an option of going to participate in the election as an independent, because it is within my right that I can participate in an election as an independent if one political party rejects me. PF rejected me in 2021. I still found comfort in the Constitution, and I was able to participate as a candidate, as an independent. What the UPND wants to do, self-preservation. They want to stop people from going to participate as independent candidates. So they've proposed that whoever is not adopted by a political party cannot go and participate in the election as an independent. Now that is taking away your right as a citizen to participate in the election as an independent. What are they scared of? They are scared because in their strongholds, there are a lot of candidates who have risen up to challenge those incompetent MPs they have. And chances are that if these goes and stand independent, they will have no MPs in their strongholds. So they want to now manipulate the constitution to stop people from going to participate as independent candidates. Who does that? Who does that? The law is not created to suit our own personal ambition and interest and egos. The law is meant to cover everybody, to fulfill people's, interests. So you cannot therefore amend the law or create a law that disenfranchises people from participating in an election because you want to protect your own, failures. The other proposal the UPND is making, which is outrageous, is to suggest that when there is a death or there is need to be a by-election, they want to avoid the by-election. This is what they are proposing. Let's suppose mweba kukaputa, na mweba kunchelenge, na mweba kusiyoma, na mweba kukasempa. You elect an MP today, and that MP dies. Okay? They are saying, let us avoid a by-election. Tukalabula fie, political party iachtre sponsor ulio ufuile. They propose another person. Now, in an election, we give the people an opportunity to elect a person of their choice. Somebody they believe has got the competence and the ability to provide leadership for their community. Nobody yomuntu mwasalire imwe afwa. Then, by UPND baita propose kwe bati ila ine political party eko afumine bafude babika pufyo omuntu. Nga bamipele chisoswa. Bamipele ishiru. Yes, we need to avoid cost, but I can tell you governance is a costly undertaking. You cannot impose ama leaders pabantu. You cannot therefore avoid having those elections. If anything, why didn't they propose ukwebati umuntu ngafwa? Then the next person who akwetama votes ayeng must take over, because that sounds better. If really the attempt is to avoid costs, you can say the next best performing person must then take over, as opposed to suggesting that the political party that is sponsored Uliofuide must now give you another person. Or they may take out everybody who does not say yes bwana to them, and they will be able to bring yes bwana omushairira omushachera. These are some of the contentious clauses that people are objecting, especially the need for them to wait. This constitution we have today is the same constitution we used in 2026, or rather in 2016, or rather 2021. Why can't we use the same constitution and then they can amend the constitution after the election? Now, colleagues, this is my platform. I use it for communicating to the people that follows me. You don't like me, just come and listen or switch off. What I don't appreciate is people coming here to insult. So those of you who come here, you've been sent, you've been sponsored to come and insult me. Trust me, you find me on the wrong side of the day. A leader must have thick skin. You come on my platform, you must engage me with soberness. Let's go. So, colleagues, today's presser by the president falls very short of a statesman, a man committed to promote peace and unity and coexistence. Imagine the president suggesting that if you demonstrate, what if you meet a powerful group by President Kwena? How can you even suggest that? First of all, if there's going to be a group that will be protesting today, peaceful protest, the Catholic and others, Ngelodi Nebumba, the stronger one, Yalafu Makwisa, to meet and beat up the Catholic and the Oasis Forum. Mwalaba Fumia Kwisa, you're in a group here that is more powerful that the president is suggesting. Where is that group going to come from? Does it mean the president is suggesting if the Oasis Forum na ba Catholic bakema to go and protest, na bena bakemya as professed by this one iso, na wala imya makada who he says are more powerful, so that they go and crash, then you as president, you are going to say no, na rimebere, don't protest, fiaku ifuaida. How can the president think like that? How can the president suggest that if you are going to protest, then there will be another powerful group? Which is that powerful group? Because they can only be the police. Because the police, when they are notified, they've got a duty to ensure they provide order and security for the protesters. That is what the law states. So how can the president surely, and that is why I'm emphasizing, the president must always stick to a written script, because he risks making outrageous and inflammatory statements that will make him a laughing stock. As the statement he has made, how can you suggest if you protest, you may meet another powerful group? Which is that powerful group? Is he suggesting, as they've said, we are all going to march? Uyumwali Teta, who said he has got 30,000 youths. Is that what the president is permitting in this country? Why didn't the PF also raise up their people to go and beat up the UPND when they protested? Honestly speaking, and that is the caretaker thinking like that. We have a problem in this country if you are not seeing it. We have a problem. We can't always have a president who is always playing on the minds of the people in Wengwa, suggesting that they don't want me to be a president. Imagine what those people, where he comes from, are thinking after making that statement. Because this is not the first time he has made that statement. He keeps on repeating that statement. Every time he's gone ku Southern Province, he keeps on making the same inflammatory statement. That statement the president keeps on making has got the potential to inflame or incite the people where he comes from to rise against the rest, because they will be under the impression that the rest hates our person. And there are some of you who were seated at that press conference and you were even clapping. Fish mutota. Fish mutota. Because honestly speaking, we have all a duty to help our president. That is why for me today, after today, I'm suggesting the president seriously needs help. He needs prayers. He needs counseling, because clearly he has not healed. Let me remind the president. The president mentions in Chingola, he restrained the police officers from shooting at the young people who were throwing stones. First of all, let me be on record. It is not correct for young people who are aggrieved by the actions of the UPND to go and pick stones and throw at the president. It's not correct. Because even me, when I become president next year, I cannot condone young people throwing stones at me. So whoever would be celebrating the stoning of the president is not okay, because it is not correct. But president, teba president and we must respect him. No matter the difference, we can't go to the extent of stoning the president. But wait a minute. The president says he restrained a police officer from shooting at the young people who were throwing stones. You know what they say about karma. K-A-R-M-A. We forget that when there was a Fast and Furious in Mpundu, where the President HH was competing for the same passage with President Lungu then. In other countries, President HH would have been shot down by President Lungu's men. That's fact. In other countries, the Mpundu fracas would not have just led into President HH going to Mukobeko on a treason charge, even if that treason charge was outrageous. But it would not have ended that direction. President HH and his team would have been shot dead if it was in other countries by going to compete for the passage in Mpundu. The laws of this country are very clear. You must give way to the presidential motorcade. Presidential motorcade teyaktwalira kwechinsenena. They can shoot you down. And we must thank the late President ECL for having restrained his men. So there's nothing special about President HH restraining the officers. There's nothing special. Even his predecessor restrained officers from shooting at him when he did a Fast and Furious in Mpundu. Those are facts that we must always put on the table, because in this country, we easily believe umuntu that is going on a pity party. We forget history. Fellow citizens, enough of propaganda now. We must now be sitting on the table to discuss truth and realities. The fact is that President HH is not the most abused president. There have been presidents before him that have been abused. The fact is President HH is not hated by the Zambian people. If the Zambian people hated him because of where he comes from, they would not have given him 59% of the votes in 2021. Something that even Basata, who was so much loved, did not even manage to get. That's fact. But what we are saying, what I'm trying to say is that the president does not need to take every opportunity to inflame people through his statement, to incite people through his statement. The president must always use an opportunity like that he had today to unite the country, to preach peace, to preach coexistence. The proposal to have a demonstration is constitutional. It is within our democratic principles. It must not be seen as strange or as an act of hatred. And the church has been doing that assignment over and over again. And nobody called the Catholic Church to have hated any president before. It must be stated on record. The other issue the president, remarks that is very sad is the issue of violence. The president today keeps on insisting we can't go back to that violence of PF. Yes, PF was violent. There was violence in PF. That's fact. But guess what? The violence of PF was a bit subtle. That's fact. We never saw people being abducted in PF. I'm sure today you have seen a video of what happened Patogate here in Kitwe, Papa Ganaton, where the youth led by Diswaniso refused to pay toll fees. And when the police wanted to intervene, he was attacked. You've seen the videos. I'm sure you've seen. I hope nobody claims this is AI. We have witnesses that were there who have given a testimony of the assault that went to a police officer at the toll gate for simply doing their job the police officer was attacked by UPND National Youth Leadership. The president cannot speak proudly about ending cadarism and violence and thuggery today. That's the last statement he can ever make. If I were him, he cannot even go that route, because in the recent past, we have seen the worst form of violence in this country. And for those of you who have not followed history, the UPND have been the most violent political party in the history of this country. We have not forgotten what happened in Mufumbwe when the UPND crashed with the MMD. Ask the people that were casualties in that fracas. How many people were hacked by the UPND in Mufumbwe? How many people have been hacked in this country using the Mapatizia formula? So the UPND can never claim to be a peaceful party. If we Ambama politics, we are Shtama politics for 19 years, we can tell you that story. We have seen the worst form of violence in this country. Have you forgotten how Kungo, the late provincial chairman of the PF, was killed in cold blood, and they were even taking the video? Have you forgotten that today people can claim to be peaceful? How? How? That is why the law holds, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. If President HH wants to claim that the UPND have no violence, he must show us his hands if they are clean. The UPND's hands are not clean in regards to blood, in regards to violence. They killed Kungo in cold blood in Solwezi. They hacked people in Mufumbwe when they crashed with the MMD. People will tell you that story. So the UPND are not clean, and that is why they could only pretend for so long. They are back at it. Like they say, Uwakalema takaleka. The members will tell you that. They pretended for a while, they failed to pretend. They are now attacking police officers. The way they attacked that DC in Kasama, beat her up, a lady. The way they are now locking up officers in Petauke for their district commissioners, they are now at it. The way they are now abducting people in broad daylight. The president cannot, should not mock the Zambian people by claiming they've ended cadarism or thuggery or criminality. He should not do that. Let's talk about the killings at the hands of state agencies. Yes, in PF, some people were killed at the hands of the police. And I have in mind Vespers, the lady student who died at Unza. But remember, when Vespers died, which is a fact, there was a riot at Unza. There was a demo. The only way police officers stops riot is using tear gases. And the police were excessive that day. They went and threw tear gases in the rooms, and Vespers was caught up and she died. Very sad. May her soul rest in peace. She needs to be compensated. The family needs to be compensated. But that was the action of the police and nothing to do with the PF. Just like today, the police have shot down a number of young people who were innocently scavenging for gold in Mfumbwe. Why are we not talking about that? Why is the president ignoring that fact? If the president today is going to talk about the 100 days he spent in prison in Mukobeko, what about Bamumbipiri? How many days did she innocently spend in that prison? Because you cannot suggest that Bamumbipiri was taken on pure suspicions. No, there are no two people that can pull the trigger. There could only have been one. Why was Chilekwa and Bamumbipiri taken to jail over the same pulling of a trigger? For Bamumbipiri, it was just malicious prosecution. So when we come to equity, let us make sure that our hands are clean. How many people have died under the UPND at the hands of state agencies? In the conflicts of the Lundas and the Luvales, didn't the army go and shoot people? Didn't people die? Didn't we lose a life of a young boy who was killed because of Mirimiu in Mufrida at the hands of ZNS? How many should I give you a comprehensive list of people that have died at the hands of the police under the UPND? Why should we continue to talk about those who died at the hands of state agencies 4, 5, 6 years ago? And why should the president, every time he keeps or he talks about important issues, he must take us back into memory lane? Why? When are we going to heal? When are we going to heal, fellow citizens? Bane, if you are for Fiona Ikanififine, where you celebrate wrong things. Today, I want to end on this score. Like I promised, it was just going to be an hour's conversation. I just want to remind the president that his duty is to ensure that he holds this country together by promoting unity and coexistence and oneness. Today, every time the president has an opportunity to speak to us, he must ensure that he preaches unity, forgiveness, and coexistence. But every time he goes on a PT party, he is inflaming people, he is inciting people to rise against other people. If that is not tribalism and it's not hate speech, then what is hate speech in this country, Kanshi? If what the president said today is not hate speech, what is hate speech? What is tribalism? Oh, by the way, jobs today are only being given by people that are aligned with the UPND. Promotions in government and quasi-government institutions are only being made to people that are aligned to the UPND. That's fact. Ask your relatives in government or in quasi-government institution, those who are not aligned with the UPND, if they are being promoted, ask them. Ask them. So, colleagues, unfortunately, we can't go on the trajectory of malice propaganda. No. This country needs to heal, and the president must lead that process of healing. I hope we are following each other. This issue of stopping the church from speaking, and when they speak, then they become Lucifers, must end. The church has a moral responsibility to participate in governance, to hold this government to account. If they hold you accountable, does not mean they hate you. They don't. They've done so in all the successful governments. And you are not going to be an exception by UPND. Triumph one. You are not going to be an exception. The English people would tell you what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Do unto others what you expect them to do unto you. What we used to do to PF and to MMD is haunting us now. And the people are by suggesting to you, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this as I conclude. Tomorrow is the last day of the voter registration exercise. Please remind your friends, remind your relatives to register as voters. Sorry, colleagues, citizens, sorry, I was laughing ku TikTok. So, I promised you that I was not going to be long today. I just want to end my broadcast, and I want to say that another day I'll choose to now delve on the other issues that the president discussed today. I want to look at the issue of mining. I want to look at what he said about, the issue of electricity and other important issues that he raised. Unfortunately, today I just wanted to debunk these issues he had raised, namely that people hate the president. The president must be very grateful that after Bachiruba, he is the one who has been loved the most because he received the biggest number of votes since 1991. 59% of the votes is what HH got, and he did not get that from his strongholds alone. He got the votes from Northern Province, from Eastern Province, from Luapula, Nokwashala. If you look at the president's performance on the Copper Belt, the president got more support on the Copper Belt. And the people of the Copper Belt are different in terms of tribe. They come from all regions. The president had some seats in the Eastern Province. Okay? Eastern Central Province, Chipata Central is UPND. Malambo is UPND. Okay? So how can the president claim the others who don't come from where he comes from hates him? And then, fellow citizens, I think we've reached a place where we need to have a conversation around tribalism and hate speech. A very honest conversation. Vakaunda failed to handle or to conclusively deal with tribalism. Vachiruba failed. Bamwanawasa failed. Varupia failed. Vasata failed. Vaisio failed. HH is failing terribly. We need to have a conversation on how we can end tribalism, because at the rate we are going, we risk having trouble. Jonse Fiondanda, amashu yandiesa mkubwera palasti. We risk having trouble if we don't confront this problem of tribalism. And at the rate the president is going, he's inflaming this situation. The words of the president today has got the capacity to incite people to rise against others. Especially those he's telling that they hate me because I was born from here. How are those feeling? But president kubwengwa. Bale umfashani when the president says, inebadi impata pantu na fialwa kuno. I didn't choose to be born here. Let me end by saying the protest of the WASIS Forum must proceed and the state must protect the protesters. If the UPND will raise cadres to rise up and go and attack the protesters, it will be on the president because he has intimated to that. The president should be held accountable to all the violence that is being reported in being done by the UPND cadres, because it cannot just end at simply saying you are on your own when all those who are committing the violence, the thuggery, the hooliganism are going unpunished. How are they on their own when they are not being punished? Because the pronouncement of the president must not just be mere rhetorics. They must be also fulfilled in actions. So, fellow citizen, I leave it up to you. Like I said in my preamble, I don't own the monopoly of wisdom. Okay? I only have a diploma and certificate in accounts, NATEC, and in law. Like many of you mocks me. So, I am not the clever one. But I think that in the 19 years that I've spent serving this country, in different areas and spheres of governance, I have gained sufficient understanding of what it takes to lead people. And like they say, Amanuela Fumamuifuesa, Yaya Muchulu, I can advise the president if he is receptive to advice. But if we tushala fepakulanda, after all they say, Nalikwevele, tabulapo, I told you, does not remain. We will continue to do our duty in holding this government to account. When we hold this government to account, we don't hate the president. We don't hate him. In fact, the people of Zambia loves President HH. Ngani kumbi, all the problems we've gone through, ngataba survivor. Ngabadi makali abantu. But the people love him. They want him to finish the term. And maybe kutabawo mapa magic kuli ama mansi ya shele. The rest is up to you, the citizens. You've been taken for a ride for too long. Bali mibe pasana because of propaganda. Don't allow propaganda to be our bread and butter, to be our daily food. Every time somebody speaks, Nalanda, dissect what I've said. It's not the gospel truth. You have a duty to go and peruse through written scripts to understand where the findelanda fiachine or fiabufi. This constitution amendment process, if the UPND means well, they must halt it. They will come and change the constitution after the 2026 general election. After all, they are winning the election. Isn't that what they've said? So why are they in a hurry? Because this is the same constitution that they used to win. So what has changed? What are they scared of? What are they in a hurry for? God bless you. God bless our country, Zambia. I thank you very much. Ba TikTok namule kokulwa. Kwa chibolu uli ku TikTok huku. God bless you too, Pinky B. Busheba mili, epo muli. Shibi mwene po hapa. Ba mili tufure tuwa kumana mwe. Tenazio Mwanza, thank you very much. Asiatu Banda, I love you too. I love you too. Thank you very much. Much love to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Thank you. You can share this. No malice involved. I think we're just spitting the bitter truth. I know that people hate the truth, but look, we have the duty to speak the truth. They say the truth shall set you free, and that's my commitment. I always spit the truth. I don't stop pretending nga wanyanta kukweba na unyanta wabechi mutu. Na dide kefe bali insta suspend sana. Apa no kufula nchile fula na mwana ningo nda no konda. Banedi na bo. Wala kufio muntu ati chimutu bantamvi. Jackson Jesse ame. Atiba Baxter Monga, you can't win an election in Zambia. If I to win a mupi, that you win. Tuaba sepa. Napama opinion pose, yo, yabufi, but every day today basepa ma opinion pose. Tuka misepa muka papa imwe. Mwilanga na bena Zambia. Muna kata bena Zambia wakutola kwe chinsenena. Baka milanga, baka mifrula bena Zambia te bakuanga. Shaima muna mokati, ifine bekele kwa eti kwa tabaku watamanu bena Zambia. Luenu. Don't play with the people's emotions and feelings. People can pretend. Kwati ifirifye wino. Bale mipingira imumule tuwa chota waka wino. Te tuwe shani uko. Luenu. Awe mulekeni. Pro empower mulekeni. Weslama, I love you too, my brother. I love you too. Tukabachi tobu bikombo ni reporter. Apa nomba ninde kwa kulanda tuleseka kofia haini bani. Mwifise nda serious if my jokes haya nomba. I also have a right to interact with you. Ushendero wabale tianuwana ni bola imwe. Mailo ni Arsenal. Ati Ichabaiche ni Arsenal. Nga UPND ni bana. Bamanyo teire ndandire teire nalandire. Bachefe wale mipara nyako. At Southern Province, they have registered more votes. Yes, let's go and campaign there. Those are our people. Okay? Let's go and get those votes and ensure that on that day of voting, we go and protect our votes. Kaibala kubali kwa tari amano ya kubati paku, pali ya kuya mgutinya abantu, tukiengira na ifome nukuda queen. Kebario BC Kunda. Yeah. Where are you going to get the votes from? Bamonga. Ni mamule ipushe fyo. Nga ya tuwa win netu wafumishe kwisa. Tukafulafuna na fukwagu na mwa wafumishe na imwebele. Chelsea versus Barcelona today. Is it? Wow. Nishtanshi. Chelsea baka. Atiba Chelsea wa yupi jiwa Zambia national team. Kwena bazabela bamwena mo. UPN is Leicester. Leicester tekwa Patson Daka. Patrick Chirufia iwe echimutu we. Imwe echimutu wa honorable. Uri mukuru sana iwe chindiki. John, go live often. I will do, my brother. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Okay. Alik Mutema, good evening. Good evening. Kaunda Square, Lusaka. Much love. All right. Judy Shongwe, my sister, will support you. Thank you very much. If I will have one vote, it will be my vote and Judy. You know? Iwe ka monga, iwe ula ndati yonga fumia kusama vote. Judy uyo, epo ali hapa. Judy K is my next president. You see? There's another vote. Monga. Ulikuisa iwe ka monga iwe. Wabechi mutu. Bamusa. Bakafimba na mwelekeni urubuliro mwamba. Now, honorable, for you say, Chimute, what happened? Alentende kana imwe. You admire your courage, clairvoyant. Thank you so much. Smart infinity. Kefas Seaboy. We love you. I love you too, my brother. Mupeta Bonfest, God bless you too. Musa Kafimbwa. Mulibakuru sana ba Musa lekeni. Atame social media president. Yes. Abapere tukala tekila pa social media. Nefile na mwisa mkumfu hapo. Bisheta mule mfuaimu. Thank you, Richard Ngoni. My vote is yours. TikTok, thank you for the 30,700 followers. That's a good number. 30,000 were following us today. Thank you so much. I think ku TikTok kwa alibasana ichimuya la mwe. But TikTok, I love you. Imomu alikuwa very genuine support. Nombo kwa babena monga ba mi ponto. Na ala bachita block bonsa ba mi ponto. Shilefu ande ponta. Panto eba kadenga nka kano kumona tata. Join Ichabaiche, guys. Don't forget to join Ichabaiche. When you go to your WhatsApp, just send a message to your friend. Type www.ichabaiche. Ichabaiche. Don't put H Kulasti. It's C-E. Ichabaiche. That's I-C-H-A-I. Ichabaiche. Ichabaiche.com. I'll write on my Facebook page. You go there, you fill in your details, you become a member. It will also give you a membership card. And then we can introduce you to our WhatsApp group so that you can be following all the programs that we have been doing. The only way you can be part of the change of government or you can be part of creating history or creating the future we desire is if you join this revolution, the movement for good governance, Ichabaiche. Ferdinand Zimba, yes, Ichabaiche, I-C-H-A-B-A-I-C-E. So www.ichabaiche, I-C-H-A-B-A-I-C-E.com. When you type that, then you click it, you are going to have a form. You fill in that form. It will tell you to download a membership card. You get a card, you are finally a bona fide member of the movement, and you are on a journey to making history for this country. We can't be recycling the same characters at leadership who are failing us over and over again. This time, the new generation must rise. And the bus is loading. That bus is the movement for good governance. Chabafana or Kiavanike. I've been Binwell Mpundu. God bless you. Enjoy your night and enjoy your game. My money is on Barcelona. All right.